Luchau, and I had a lot of fun writing my most recent article for my Somatic Edge column in Massage and Bodywork magazine. I chose the topic of the rib rings. It's called Seeing the Forest and the Trees. You know, the rib cage itself has so many functions. It helps us breathe. It helps us sit comfortably. It provides a movement lever and platform for everything the shoulder girdle does, everything the head and neck do, and then whole body movements of walking and bending and twisting and orienting. All those things happen in the rib cage because of all the little joints all throughout the rib cage. Whitney Lowe and I were doing a podcast about that. He mentioned there are 108 ligaments. In the disc control, I think it's rib to spine relationships. So there's a ton of details in the rib cage. One way to deal with the complexity of the rib cage is to think about it in bigger chunks, bigger pieces. One of those really interesting pieces is the idea of the rib ring or the thoracic ring. It's the idea that L.J. Lee proposed back in the 90s, I believe it was, and it's pretty common in physical therapy, less common so in massage or body work. But it's the idea that the pair of ribs that do the bucket handle motion and breathing, together with the sternum in the front, which helps do the pump handle motion, and then connected to the vertebrae in back, where the costal vertebral joints are, form a kind of a ring. And that by thinking of the movements of that ring within the thorax and next to its neighbors, we can feel and assess and help improve all sorts of conditions involving the rib cage. For sure, movement restrictions, but also pain or sensitivity, that feeling like a rib is, quote, out, or that it's difficult or painful to breathe or move, or just the fatigue that comes from sitting on Zoom for too long. In the article, I did include some really provocative, interesting observations that, say, Greg Lehman had, you could say debates around the thoracic ring theory. But then I also I focused mostly just on ways that you can use this in your practice. And the video I'm going to throw in after this little intro is from our scoliosis training, where we're using that concept throughout the body, almost like caterpillar rings, the rings of a caterpillar, to make sure that they turn evenly and with even sensitivity or sensation in each direction. Once you do that kind of assessment, then you'll get some really clear ideas about how and where to work with that. Enjoy the article. Hope to see you around. Have fun. The Barber pole assessment is a quick and easy way to get the segmental mobility restrictions. So Cassandra, let your arms hang. And I'm going to feel, as she turns, the overall rotation of each segment in turn. So go ahead and turn all the way around over your left shoulder. Look over your left shoulder all the way back at me. And then let's compare that to your right shoulder. Okay. So did you get a sense of which one, at this level, which one goes farther?
This goes farther.
This goes farther. This didn't go as far.
Mm-mm.
So this could be an assessment for any of our later work. Like we did the spring testing, we did the side bending testing. We could use the same techniques to work with this. Or let's go ahead and get the big picture, and then I'll show you just a technique we can do right here. So I just do the next segment. And I'm not worrying so much about individual transverse processes, same pattern, as I am segments. So it's almost like the caterpillar technique, It's like she's a caterpillar with segments that I'm feeling the rotations of.
It feels a little bit more difficult, but I don't know.
This way?
More difficult compared to the other side.
Let's see.
It feels harder than the lumbar. I still have some restriction over here. What do you feel?
It goes farther this way?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That stops sooner?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm feeling for. Again, that, and that. So that's all Barber pole 1. Barber pole 2 just continues the theme now up in the upper spine. We didn't have enough page to write it all out on or show enough pictures. So now we continue, go ahead and twist around with your head. Lead with your head, there you go. And I just compare how far the spiral goes this way and how far the spiral goes that way. So that doesn't go as far that way.
No, it does not.
Okay. So, and all the way up to the top ribs now. Checking those out too. That and that. So that was pure assessment. And I could go mark those with P's if I wanted to. Or
I go ahead and turn the more difficult way here. I can just help her. Yeah? In more of a direct technique where I'm actually just helping her go a little farther in that more difficult direction. What's that like?
I feel it in the front of my neck as just a sensation.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a stretch or
All right.
anything.
You could play with looking up and down a tiny bit. Yep, just to look for those connections. Nice.
And I can soften into it.
That's what we're after. That's what we're after. Usually I have to tell my clients that. You're not usually telling me. But that's great. Back to the center. All right. So I could follow that same process at any of those segments where we felt diminished mobility in one direction. And this was the other one where, go ahead and go to that more difficult direction. So here, Cassandra, you might need to keep that left foot on the floor really firm. Yeah, to give us something to work against.
That really connects too.
Yep. So I'm just helping her turn segmentally at the places where it's difficult. My anatomical thoughts are limited to caterpillar. That's as far as I get. Just big segments. Not looking for any particular structure, just the whole piece. Any questions at all?
When you were up at the neck, I think I heard you say you initiate with neck turning and then follow that. And is that true?
I wanted to get the spiral going as opposed to just her turning her shoulders. So I wanted to get the load coming in from the top.
And then she spiraled away from us, so we couldn't see your treating hand. Were you treating with a thumb on a point like a rib? Yeah, rib head or something. Yeah.
That's it. Good with that? Barber pole 1 and 2? All right.